pay the price in terms of bigger budgets and fewer services. Now, as we know, all too often, government agencies seem to be set up to work just for the people that they employ and not to work for we, the people of New York. New Yorkers are angry with Albany, and I think for good reason. But anger is not a governing strategy. We need real change. We need new strategies. We need independent leadership. We need someone who has the guts to take on entrenched interests and the skill to work in partnership with the legislature to get big things done. And I feel very strongly about this. I think that Andrew Cuomo is that person. Today I'm here to strongly endorse his candidacy for governor. In fact, let me repeat that for our Spanish-speaking audience. Hoy le doy mi apoyo fuerte a Andrew Cuomo para ser gobernador del estado. I think the platform that Andrew has laid out is an impressive blueprint for change. He's shown that he is willing to take on the toughest issues and the biggest interest groups. What impresses me the most is he doesn't do it for the cameras. He does it for the people of this state. And he has been an exemplary attorney general, and I think would be a very good governor. And I will certainly support him, and you can rest assured that I will vote for him. He has been willing to take on the big issues. He's been willing to fight the big interest groups. But he also knows that real change requires reaching across the aisle, building coalitions, and recognizing that no party has a monopoly on good ideas. And over the years, we've worked together on a number of issues that are very important to New Yorkers. Andrew shares my determination to rid the streets of illegal guns, and he has a great record on that issue. As U.S. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, he launched the largest gun buyback program in the nation's history, and now he's also endorsed the state's micro-stamping bill that would give law enforcement officers more tools to track down gun criminals. And he has stood tough on fiscal waste and abuse. As State Attorney General, he has cracked down on mortgage and Medicaid frauds that have cost New Yorkers millions of dollars, and he continues to fight against the corruption that paralyzes Albany. We've got complex challenges ahead. I think everybody knows that. Reforming Medicaid, which is bankrupting us, making state education funding fair and effective, right-sizing government, and most urgently, putting the state's finances back on solid ground. If we don't do that, all of the programs that we have come to enjoy, whether it is keeping our streets safe, educating our kids, helping those less fortunate, all of those programs will suffer if we don't get this state's fiscal situation on solid ground. Andrew understands that the state of New York is at a crossroads, and politics, as usual, just won't do. I think he's the kind of effective leader who can clean up the state capitol, get government working, and get our state back on track. And that's why I'm endorsing Andrew Cuomo for governor. And it's why independents like me are joining Democrats and Republicans too in a broad-based coalition to elect Andrew in November and bring reform to Albany. The partisan politics of the past can't be the wave of the future. Andrew, you're going to be a great governor.
Thank you very much. Well, this is a very big day for me. First, politically, this is a big boost to my campaign, receiving the mayor's endorsement. And personally, it's a big day for me. I have tremendous respect for the mayor and the job that the mayor has done, so his endorsement means a lot to me. The mayor is fulfilled the hope of public service. The dream of public service is you elect a man, you elect a mayor in this case, and the mayor makes the city a better city. And he has. He's brought in great talent. He's been a role model. He's improved services. He's improved the quality of life in the city. And that's the positive hope for government. That government becomes a vehicle for social change, and it makes New York City better, and the mayor has done that. So I can't tell you how appreciative I am on a personal level, how grateful I am on a political level for this support. Unfortunately, while the mayor has been doing a better job in New York City, while the mayor has been doing a better job of making the city government work better, the state government, the story has been the exact inverse. New York City is improving in terms of performance. The state government has been diminished in terms of performance. We've talked for years about the dysfunction of Albany. The dysfunction of Albany has metastasized into the corruption of Albany. The state government just isn't working. The state government has to change, and that's a comment on both sides of the political aisle. No one political party caused the problem. Both share the blame, in my opinion. My whole campaign is about two things. Number one, laying out a platform, a plan to change the state, reform the state, overhaul the state. We laid out what's called the New York agenda, talking about cleaning up Albany, ethics reforms, cleaning up the legislature, restoring trust in people so people trust the state government again. Because without trust, government just doesn't work. Part of my plan is getting the state's fiscal house in order, balancing the budget without raising taxes, without making this a tougher climate for business. We talk about right-sizing state government. We now have near 1,000 state agencies in the state. Nobody can even give you a list of all 1,000 agencies. So right-sizing the government for today, we call it the New York agenda. That's part of the campaign. The second part of the campaign is, as the mayor pointed to, one of the big questions is, you have a plan, you have an agenda, how do you get it done? We've had a lot of plans to change Albany. We haven't had a lot of progress. We've had many new governors, all different types of new governors. We've had tall governors, short governors, Democratic governors, Republican governors. We've had very little change. So part of it is having a plan. You could argue an even more important part is having a strategy to actually change Albany. How do you get the legislature to change? How do you get the status quo defeated? How do you defeat those handful of special interests that dominate Albany politics? And that's what we're laying out, and that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're using the campaign to do. We call it the Big Tent Strategy. Bringing together a coalition during this campaign that can bring change to Albany and defeat the special interests in Albany. Bring the business interests together with the labor interests. Unified around a common agenda to change Albany. Bringing Democrats together with Republicans around a common agenda to change Albany. And in that regard, as part of that coalition, the mayor is a big, big piece and a big, big asset in putting together a coalition that can change Albany, and I'm excited about it. New York City and New York State have a shared destiny. As goes New York City, goes New York State. As goes New York State, goes New York City. I believe that. New York City has been doing its part. The mayor has been doing his part. City government has been improving. The state government now has to do its part. And the state government now has to catch up to the level of performance we've been seeing in New York City and cities across this state. And that's what this campaign is all about. If I'm blessed to have the opportunity to serve, it will be my pleasure to partner with New York City, to partner with the mayor, and do everything we can do for this city and this state together. Mr. Mayor, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
How much do you think that today's endorsement will blunt the poll that you're well aware of that came out? And were you a little bit surprised?